Hi, I am back for another Flosstube update after almost 4 weeks, even though it doesn't seem like that long, but yeah, it's been 4 weeks since my mid-year WIP parade, and that means I have a lot to show you today. My name is Megan, Stitching Moon here on Flosstube, and this is my channel about cross stitch, so welcome if you're new, and thanks for everybody who's come back. This is going to be nearly another WIP parade because I have 19 projects to show you, and that includes several new starts since my WIP parade, a lot more progress since my WIP parade. It includes FFO and a little bit of haul. I'm also going to do some clips at the end of a little bit of Norway that I've been meaning to show you guys since May when my family was visiting. So even though this is probably going to be a very long video, I'll just stick that at the end. Plus I'll have a little life update at the end. So first things first, I just want to give a huge thank you to everybody who said, you know, congratulations or gave support after I made my announcement last video that I'm pregnant. And it was just overwhelming how amazing you guys are, which I already knew. I shouldn't be surprised. But yeah, I just got so many good wishes and comments, and some people even sent little donation gifts through my Ko-fi link below, and then people even went and bought more patterns from my Etsy shop. And I did mention last time that because it's on Etsy and they still charge fees, and that I might have had to take a pause just because I was still paying fees and not getting too many sales coming in. But you guys are amazing. You went and bought some things and hopefully you actually want to stitch them, but it actually inspired me to want to make new patterns for my shop, which now I should have a little more time and energy to do, and I'll talk more about that during my life update. But there's the artist that I already have on there, Giuseppe Macconi, has come out with some new stuff. And I'm also reaching out to some other artists who might be interested in collaborating, so I'm really excited about that. So again, thank you very much. So, and I might be, of course, out of breath with this video, just stomach's getting bigger, so bear with me. Okay, so let's start with, so what I did, you might have, if you follow me on Instagram, you probably saw that I posted a bunch of pictures in a couple days because I did a spontaneous 24 hours of cross stitch because I had the time finally, and I don't know when I'll get that full time to myself again. So I'm like, hey, let's do 24 hours of cross stitch. And I know there's like an official one coming up, maybe even next weekend, which I'm not going to be able to do. But, you know, just do it when you can. You don't have to do it at the official time. So I did that, and I made it to 20 hours over 2 days, so not bad. I've never actually made the full 24 hours actually yet. I think I keep getting to 20. 20 seems to be my sweet spot. I cannot stay up long. I would definitely never be able to do it 24 hours like in a row, because I am someone who needs my sleep, especially now that I'm pregnant. But even when I wasn't, I've never been good when I don't have at least 7 hours of sleep a night. I remember the first time that I ever stayed up all night I was like probably in 7th grade, and we did like a camping trip or something. Even then, that young, I just was dead. I just couldn't do it. So yeah, I need regular sleep, usually in bed by 11, and then, oh, well, depends on my schedule. If I have to get up early, then I'll probably go to bed 10:30ish, but yeah, I need to get that 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night, or I am a wreck, both physically and mentally. So I did what I can, and I worked on 9 different projects during those 20 hours. So I'm going to show those first. So the first one I did is actually a restart. And I don't have a picture because it's a stitch along, and I haven't seen like the whole picture all together, that I could actually print off, even though it is finished. I think it was, I want to say it was 2022. It may have been 2021, but it's from the Etsy shop, The Little Stitcher. I really love her shop. And I had started it originally on, oh yeah, okay, I still have it in here. The old one I'll show you first. It's called, yeah, I think, did I say it's the 13 Moons Stitch Along? And I had originally done it on fabric that I had, and I thought the fabric was going to be darker, but it wasn't. So I started on this first moon, and the white, it's 3865, that's it, right? Brain. And I like how, you know, the darker colors are looking on this, but this really, I want it to be more about the moons. And I wasn't too happy about like how the contrast is, because it looks more like a cloudy day than a night sky, even though I do think it's really pretty. If it was like a different, like white on this, like a different kind of sampler where it wasn't like a moon, like that would be great. But I was just not very happy stitching on it. I wanted to see more brightness in the moon. So I restarted it. On this lovely fabric, and I am loving how that color is popping, the whitish. Especially because there's so much of it in this pattern, but look at how that pops. It is so much better to stitch on, like just seeing that, especially because white is not fun to stitch on anyway. So, but when you have a contrast like that, it's really cool. So I'm really liking that. And I know the darker colors blend a little bit, but most of it's going to be, you know, with the moon behind it. So I think it'll be fine. And this is really soft. It's actually an Aida, 16 count, Mystic Aida from 123 Stitch. So it's got some modeling. Oh, this is perfect. This is like the night sky that I was picturing. So I'm very happy with that restart. Oh, look at it. Oh. Okay, and the other fabric was actually the one that I'm using for my Advent animals. Actually, bear with me. I'm just going to put it in back. This restart, I'm probably just going to cut out. I'm not going to rip it out. I'm just going to cut out the rest of it, and I can use that fabric for something else. Okay. Next one for the 24 hours or 20 hours. What I did to decide these is I spun a wheel or like a random picker, but I didn't include any of my kits that like had a big paper chart, because I had that on my, like I take a picture of them and put them on my iPad so I can mark it off, but my husband was away with the iPad that week, and so I just chose all the ones without that and added those to my list. And it picked from there. And there was some repeats. So whenever something came up repeated, I would just do 1 hour on that. But the other ones, like, I would spend 2 hours on. I would basically spend 2 hours on a project. And if it came up again, I would just do an extra hour on it. This one is Tread Softly by Lindy Stitches. And it's part of a poem by William Butler Yeats. And in case you can't read it, but I, being poor, have only my dreams. I have spread my dreams under your feet. Tread softly, because you tread on my dreams. And I ordered, I'm doing it with all the called for floss, which is, it has some DMC, some Weeks Dye Works, some Classic Colorworks. And I wanted to get the original fabric, but they accidentally sent me a paper pattern instead of the fabric, and then they were like sold out of the fabric, so I just found something similar. It's super stiff though. It's one thing I really don't like about working on this is it literally scratches my arm as I'm stitching it, so that's not fun, and it's really hard to get into the hoop. I know there's like, you can probably wash it to get it soft, but I already started it and I'm just gonna keep going with it. but yeah, I got, basically what I worked on was, well, all I worked on was like, the face was done, I believe. Sorry, it's, if I show my face, it's gonna like unfocus on this. But I did basically like this neck part. So it took a while to do that. All the same color I think I did during those whole 2 hours. And it's on a 32 count, and it's a which else? I think it's called like sky blue, or no, very blue, I don't know, something blue. So as you'll see, during these 20 hours, I stitched on a lot of owls, which is fine because most of my owls weren't like complete. They didn't have faces and stuff, so that's all right. Next one that came up, it's another stitch along that I don't have a picture for, and this was from this year, and it's by Witch's Garden Crafts. The pattern was gifted to me, and it's called the Dark Goddess Stitch Along, and it's on this lovely 14 count Aida, hand dyed by Stitchy Ferret, and it was made specifically for this project. And there's, I think it's actually done. The last 2 just came out because it was just through June, I think. So I have them all, but I don't catch up on, I don't follow with stitch alongs at all. So this first goddess is Persephone, and I'm not obviously done, and I didn't do backstitch, so it doesn't look like much yet. But so, you know, Persephone was the goddess of like the underworld, but she would, so half the year she would be in the underworld, half the year she could be out in like the spring with her mother and stuff like that. So this kind of shows the 2 halves, where this is like a nice tree behind her with flowers, maybe apples, and this is like the dark underworld of the deadness, and she's in black or versus springy colors. And I haven't done her hair yet because I'm missing some colors. So for now, it's going to be a little bit incomplete because I'm writing down the list of colors that I'm missing. And I'm hoping I can just hold off on those for a few projects, actually. But I'm hoping I can hold off on getting those till my mother's planning to come visit in October when the baby is due. So I'm going to have her bring some of those missing things over because like they are incredibly cheaper in the US than here. So I have enough to stitch on before I need those. So I'm actually, it came up today to stitch on. So I'm going to probably do what I can with her, and then like, you know, just do some of the borders and stuff because there's plenty of that to do. So yeah, that is Persephone. And it's an opalescent fabric. The next one, only one of my full coverages came up during my 20 hours, and that is this one. Heaven and Earth Designs Together, artwork by Jim Warren that I'm doing for my husband and I. And if you, so this actually, I was very happy it came up because it's been a while since I've stitched on it, and I really want to get going on it. And it was fun to stitch on. I have it back in the Q-snap, obviously, because now I finished up the first, like here, Q-snap, and I had to change it. So there's not much to see right now, but I'm working in, I'm going to go over first. So I'm working in like this section, which is cool because the house will come in there, but I'm not there yet. So there's not, I only got about 260 stitches on it in those couple hours. So not much to see now. I'm not going to pull it out of the Q-snap, but if you want to see it out of the Q-snap, you can go back to my WIP parade because I have it out then. So this is, I have some parked threads, but not too much new to see. It's on 25 count, and this is 1/1 full cross. And I, yeah, just worked on that, so I finished up that little branch. And I've changed the way I'm stitching on it a little bit in that I'm doing the diagonal method still. And before, when I was doing the other part, I would do like the typewriter method within the diagonal, and then instead of carrying the floss to finish, I would just park it in the next diagonal. But now my new method is kind of like finishing up that floss. So I'm kind of, there won't be as many parked threads as I go along because it's faster. Like, unless it's like really far away and I can't count, then that's what I tend to do now. So it's gonna look not as like neat, but I think it does go faster. I can still make mistakes even with the grid, but you know, I'll try not to. Okay. Oh, actually, no, I have numbers on that one. That one's at 39,470 stitches, and it's at 12.73%. So in those couple hours, I managed to get it up by 0.1%, almost. I was like down by 0.01%, but basically 0.1% up. So that's not too bad. Next one is another I don't have a picture for, but you may have seen this. Excuse me. Because some other people have finished it, and it was gifted to me by Kaylee, Tent Stitch. Oh man, this is a very fraying fabric. I use, maybe I didn't on this one, but I usually use fray check. But this is, if I did use it, it's definitely not working. Okay, I have to figure out which way this goes. It's hard to tell. I think it's this way. Yeah, this way. It's Nomies, Snuggle Up Nomies. Not too much, but I did get a little bit done. But this one, I didn't get as much done in the 2 hours as I could have because I kept making mistakes. Partly because it's blue, like light blues on blues, I think, but also I needed a break from like being inside stitching, and it got really nice out, so I had to go downtown and like stitch on a bench. And I had this beautiful view of the fjord and mountains, and it's tourist season here, so there were a bunch of people downtown and all these different like languages, and I heard some Americans too, but I think it was a little distracted. So that's where I got to, his part of his beard. And then I think this is his nose. It's going to be his nose down here. And this one, oh, I forgot to write down my percent because it is in Pattern Keeper. I'm not that far along on it though. I'm only like a few percent, I think. Maybe, yeah. Yeah, I forgot to write that one down because I forgot that it was on Pattern Keeper. But that's where I am. This is just on a 32 count, I want to say. Just like a regular even weave that I picked up in Walmart when I was visiting back home. Okay. Next, this one came up a couple times during the 24 hours, so there's actually some progress I didn't post yet, so I made even more progress than I showed on Instagram. And this one is 100 Owls by Owl Forest Embroidery. I got it as a kit, but there's, or at least it was, a free download pattern, which they're a Russian company, so I think you can still download patterns, but I'm not 100% sure. And I ordered it as a kit with, you had an option between like a more neutral fabric and this kind of like limestone green, which I got that one. And I'm happy on my progress with this one. It comes with these like, their own threads, which are beautiful variegated flosses, and they are so pretty stitching, and they're so nice to use. Oh, gorgeous. So here is where I am. So I worked on up here, and I'm almost done that section. I just have to finish up that little tree in the middle. And before they didn't have faces, so I'm glad they have faces. And I did these 2 little owls. So I have, what, five owls out of 100 done. But you see like how it's kind of cut off on the sides because their patterns come where you can like, it comes into sections that you can cut so it's easier to follow. Like cut out the piece of paper, and I'm just stitching what's on that piece of paper. So sometimes it goes into the next like scene. So I'm just doing that. But oh, I loved how the variegation, it looks so in person too. The colors just look so pretty, more than it's showing up on camera. So I did make a mistake in the owls on the top, in that this owl is 1 stitch too high. You can probably see it a little bit once I point it out, but there was no way I was ripping that out. So these I just had to make in line with how they're supposed to be so that the rest of it comes out good, like lined up. And I'm okay with that, like little mistakes, because I think of it as, you know how like if you're a collector and you're collecting, say, coins or something, where if there's an error in something or a misprint, like those are the coins that are sought after and worth like so much money. So I kind of think of it that way. Like it is a rarity that increases its value, right? Yeah, beautiful. And it's on the 32 count limestone linen that it called for. Love that one. So I think if they, you know, depending how things go with Russia, if I do get another owl and forest, like they do have other free patterns I really like, but I might get the kit still just because they're a reasonable price and like just what it comes with is so pretty. And their needle minders are amazing, like the best needle minders I've had, because they're super strong. And you can even like, I think they're made that strong so it can hold the piece of the cutout that you have. Like you can put it on the needle minder so it's like right there and you can stitch with it, which is super nice. Okay, next one, piece I'm stitching for my daughter by the Prairie Schooler. 3 Billy Goat Scruff. And she loves this story, so have to do this one. Love it, it's so cute. And it comes with another pattern that you can do on the back that one day I will probably do for my son. So again, I only did 1 color on this because I am missing colors on this one too. But when I was stitching this, I managed to finish the goat except for his horns. It's the bigger goat. So I did do it in 2 hours. I had only like the top of his head right here. I'm missing the colors for the horn, I think, so those will have to wait. But as I was stitching this, I was like, oh my god, I have to do so many goats in this pattern. Like, and they're just so monotonous, you know, because they're all the same color. Well, not all the goats are the same color, but you stitch all the same color in one. And look how many there are. There are a lot of stitching. So this is going to be a very time-consuming pattern. But it's going to be worth it because it's for her. Better appreciate it. No, I know someday she will. So, lots of goats. And I'm doing it on the called for lamb's wool, linen 32 count. And it's only DMC in this. And not very many colors. I just happen not to have some of them. Okay. It's another really stiff one. It's kind of scratchy. Okay, then. This is my own design that every time it comes up, I'm like, ugh. Cause, okay, it's not fun to stitch on, but the end result's gonna be really cool. So this one I charted as a map of the Boston subway system, or the Boston T, as they call it. Because I lived in Boston for a year during my dietetic internship, and I rode the T. I didn't have a car there. Especially, so the red line is the one that I did like every day to go to the hospital. And I don't know, just it's so different from my life now and like where I'm living now. So, you know, I kind of miss that, and it's just like a nostalgic type of thing. And I'm gonna write, I can't remember if I think this one is all the ones that I have to backstitch all the words. I didn't do the entire thing with all the stops. I just did the ones where either I went too often or that like had meaning for me. So there's going to be a lot of word backstitch, which I don't mind. But right now I'm just stitching the red line, and it's just so monotonous. So it's not the funnest to stitch on, but I have to get it done and stitch on it if I ever want to get it finished. So I only did this for 1 hour because I didn't want to do 2 hours, but there's only 6 colors. Including the black backstitch, and this is on a 22 count, and it goes this way. Yeah, I'm doing it 1/1 on 22 count. Not much to look at. I'm gonna go back in the like holes for the stops and do those in white. Yeah, but by little. And that's also on Pattern Keeper, but I didn't write down my percentage. But it's not very accurate because it doesn't include all the backstitch. Okay, then the last one I did for my 20 hours. Another one with an owl. Was by the Blue Flower Moonlight Sampler. Love this one. I love how it's coming out on the fabric I chose. So it says, though my soul may set in darkness, it will rise in perfect light. I have loved the stars too fondly to be fearful of the night. And I didn't like the fabric that it was on called for, so I wanted it to be more of a night sky again in the moonlight. So I had Kaylee 10 Stitch from the sewingshop.ca make dye me a fabric that is perfect for it. This is a big project, but it's on a 32 count. Look at this. And she made even like paint some white silvery like paint strokes in it to make it like kind of moonlighty. And I love how it's coming out. I'm also doing the called for flosses on this, so some DMC, and what does it use? Let me just check. Of course, they're hiding on me, the flosses, yeah. And some Weeks Dye Works and Classic Colorworks. Yeah, so I did more of the owl. I did notice a mistake that I had to frog, so I didn't get as much done, where I was off by like a half a stitch the last time I stitched it and didn't notice, so I just took that out. He still has some more to go on him. He has like his like feathery stomach here in his legs. But I love it on this fabric. It is going to be so nice, but so big. Okay, so that was my 20 hours of cross stitch. Very nice. All right, before we go on, I just need a little drink. Okay, next we'll get into, I think, my new starts and FFO. Because I had some more time, I was able to fully finish my other finish from this year, which was Holly Hobby, another one for my daughter. So she's all framed. Sorry for the glare. Gotta hide my face. And it's definitely not perfect or centered, really. I noticed after, like, you know, she's more over this way. But I'd rather her be more over that way than over that way, so that worked out. And I also have some puckering, I think, because when I was doing the words in the back stitch, I think I pulled too tightly, so you can see like there's like a, I don't know if you can see on camera, but there's like a little bit of a pull right there. And also it's so hard to iron linen. Sorry, my hips are hurting a little, so I'm just gonna adjust. Yeah, so it's still has a little bit of wrinkles. You can't really tell on camera, which is good. But anybody have any tips for ironing linen? I use, like, you know, the linen setting and put it on a little steam, but it just never gets fully out, even after stretching it a little bit. But I didn't know what I was doing on framing, so I just kind of made up my own way. So this is the back. I just attached it to the frame backing that it came to, and I used acid-free double-sided tape. And then the corners are always like really hard to like flatten and make so it's not bulky. So I kind of just folded it in a weird way, which I think it's fine. And it still hangs up really nice, like it doesn't pop out or anything. So I'm fine with that. And this frame I got from like a thrift store for like $3, which is awesome for Norway. But I know it's old and it has some scratches on it. So yeah, look. But I don't know. I could have like painted it or something, but not when I'm pregnant. And yeah, that's just not my thing. So I'm just keeping it in here. Maybe my daughter one day, if it bothers her, can like do something with it, but I'm just gonna leave it. But yeah, and she was away with her dad when I was framing it, and I showed her in like the phone, and she was like so excited about it. But then when she came home and I showed her, like, I think I probably told her the wrong way. I'm like, oh, I have a surprise in your room, you want to see? And she thought it was like going to be a new present or something, so she saw it and she's like, no. She's 3, but I know someday she'll appreciate it. So there she is, Holly Hobby. I also got, actually, at that same thrift store, I'll just show you now, I found they don't have things very often in Norway, cross-stitch related, or if they do, they're like tablecloths and like curtains and things like that. But I did find some fabric, and again, for like, I got this plus 1 random skein of DMC, so this fabric plus the frame plus the skein were just like $6. So I couldn't pass that up, but it's, I don't know exactly what it is, but good size. Nice blue color. It's more blue than it's showing up on camera. It looks gray in the camera, but it's pretty blue. Looks like maybe a 32 count, maybe even 36. I don't know what it is, but yeah, could do something on there. Very frayed, but you know. Okay, moving on to new starts. So one new start I had wanted to do actually back in May, so I was just like, okay, it's time, I need to do it. And the other ones were because when I'm picking like a random thing to do that day, I also have on my list a new start. And I happened to land on a new start like 3 times, so I did that. So actually, no, 2 other times. So I have 3 total new starts. The first one is like a big dilemma that I need your help on, because it's so sad what happened because of my distracted mind and just my eagerness to start it. I was calculating things like the fabric and the size and all that, and I totally messed up on what I was doing. Well, first I'll tell you what it is. So it's Long Dog Sampler Ragnarok, because that's a Norwegian thing and I'm in Norway. And I have the perfect fabric and colors, I think, for it. Beautiful fabric. Let me just show you. It was DMC 816 and it's a hazelnut, marbled hazelnut by XG Design. And it's a little washed out on camera, but I love it. And I ordered the fabric, giant piece and everything, and gorgeous. But then for some reason, you know, in the cross stitch calculator you use, well, the one I use, it gives you, you know, the number of stitches you put in, and then whether it's 1 over, like if it's 1 over 1 or 2 over 1, you know, over 1 cross or over 2, and then you put in, yeah, you calculate it. And for some reason, I just did not change. The default setting was over 1 strand. Yeah. So I put in 32 count, but I calculated it for over 1 strand, even though when I ordered the fabric, I did it right. But I'm doing it over 2. I was going to do it 32 count, 2 over 2. Sorry, my brain. And that's what I calculated and ordered the fabric for. And then I was double checking and I totally forgot to change it to 2 over 2, and I put 2 over 1. So it told me the fabric size, what the fabric size should be. And I was like, wow, this fabric was way too big. Maybe it just came in that size and I ordered it. Yeah. So I cut it like more than half the size. And I was so sad when I figured out what I did. Like, this was a gigantic piece of fabric and now it is that big. Like, have you ever seen the size for a Long Dog Sampler? This is small. And I found out in the middle of cutting it, I'm like, this doesn't seem right. And then I double checked. It was like, no! Oh, so sad. But the only way I can make it work is if I do 1 over 1 on 32 count hand-dyed fabric, which is insane. But I'm not supposed to really be buying anything this year. And it was a pretty expensive piece of fabric, and then I would have to wait, and I really wanted to start it. So I'm like, let me just try the 1 over 1. Another benefit is that it would be much easier to frame. But it's insane. Has anybody ever done 1 over 1 on 32 count hand dyed? Like, let me know, and let me know how it turned out, because I don't know if I should just continue or just like order a new piece of fabric and redo it eventually. But I'll show you what it looks like so far. I got 182 stitches, 0.28%. So tiny. Okay, the colors are definitely not great in this lighting, but if you just look at the stitches, and it's bulky 1 over 1. So I can do it, like the stitching it isn't really a problem, except I'm just worried that the spaces in between are way too small and you won't be able to see them. So that's what I'm mainly worried about. See, like that little space between the border is so tiny. So I don't know if it's going to be enough that you'll be able to tell anything. And there's even some places in here where it's like just 1 cross standing alone, which how are you going to see that? So I really, really need your help. Should I keep going a little and see what it's like, or should I just stop there and use this for something else and get a new piece of fabric? I mean, it would be gigantic if I did it. I could order it again on like a 36 count or something. But what do you guys think? I don't know. Like, can you see, like if I hold it back, you really can't see that, really, can you? I don't know. I do like the idea of it being a smaller size, but I just don't think it's gonna work out, because look at even this border, and this border is like the same all around, so it's gonna be so tiny. but please let me know, what should I do? Have you ever done one this small, and how did it come out? Yeah, I need help. I was so upset. And my husband was there. I'm like, no, I need to order new fabric. And I'm like, but it's expensive. And he's like, how much? And I'm like, I think it was like $80 to ship it here and everything. Like $80. And he's like, what? I'm like, yeah. But I mean, the good news is now I do have like some other patterns that would look really good on this fabric. So I have a whole other piece. And if I decide to restart this, I'll have this one too. But so annoying. So I don't know. Please let me know what you guys think. All right, so first kind of failed new start, but the other ones were fun. Okay, next one I restarted, or not restarted, I started is in my other Heaven and Earth design, which I've been like thinking about starting this one for a while. It's called Magic Moonlight. And it's not very big, which is why I picked this one, because I had some leftover fabric from my other things that fit this well. So it's 400 by 281. And the artwork is by Selena Fennick. Selena Fennick. And I love the contrast of those fairies and the moonlight, and it's just magical. So this is another one. I like had no colors from the first like corner, upper left corner of the pattern where I usually start, but there's a lot of what is it, 939 and some 310, so I just decided to start on that. So I just did all 939 now on the trees, and it went so fast because I was just doing one color, and I'm also doing it 10 stitch 2/1 on 25 count. So I mean, I'll be able to work on this for a while just doing that color, so I might as well. And I can wait until my mom comes over to get the rest of it. So this one I only did for that one day, and I got, where is it? 1,272 stitches, and it's at 1.13%. So it's nice how fast that went. But yeah, not too big. Okay. My final new start is a gift for my sister that I hope to finish. Well, I can definitely finish it by Christmas. Probably just one more stitching session and I could finish this if I have enough time that day. But she's gonna come visit around Christmas, so let me see. Oh no, do I not have a picture? Oh crap. I have a picture on my phone, but it didn't come with a cover photo. It's an Etsy pattern by, no, not Etsy. Are they on Etsy? Well, they have their own website, Subversive Cross Stitch. And it's so funny. So I'll describe kind of what the whole thing is going to look like, but it's called Peeking Jesus, and I have his head. Just look at his expression. So what it's going to look like, it'll make sense when I explain it, is like, this is supposed to be like him, the frame is supposed to be here, and his body will be like down here where he's like peeking out behind the frame, and then it's going to say, I saw that. So this is like totally her humor. It's perfect. Those eyes, oh my god, it's funny. So yeah, this took me just one day. That was just one day of stitching. It's on 14 count Aida. Yeah, that's about it. So I can do this like if it comes up again soon, and if it doesn't, I'll just stitch it like before the baby comes to finish it up. And yeah, baby's due in October, but yeah, it's gonna be funny to give it to her. I had to do, when a new start came up again, I just had to do something small, and this is quick, so. All right, another drink. Oh my God, is this gonna be longer than my WIP parade? Okay, now we'll get into my other WIPs that I worked on. So, I got to pull out my own pattern, Villa Lorna. And 45 colors. And it's not, again, as big as, I'm so lazy. I still didn't change the stitch count, but it's 540 by like 330 something stitches. And I took the picture of this, edited it, and put some artifacts in it, and then charted it. I'm loving how it's turning out. That's a popular one on my shop. And I'm doing also in 25 count 2/110 stitch. And it's out of the Q-snap so you can see the whole thing. And I'm working down here to get some variety. I'm gonna do the Q-snap that's down here. So now I'm getting into some of those fun yellows. And you can see this porch starting to come in. It goes pretty quick just because there's not that many colors. But I'll be able to get like the rest of this tower in this Q-snap, which is fun. That's fun to work on. Yay. And if you guys are stitching this, I would love to see your progress. There are a couple of us using the hashtag #VillaLornaSal, so feel free to use that. We can see each other's progress, and it's fun to see it on like people stitching it in different ways or on different fabrics too. Okay. Next is one of my now focus pieces. Well, I'll show you this maybe first that I showed in my last video as a new start for the baby. It's a blanket quilt. I also made one for my daughter, and this is what it's gonna look like. Of course, the moon is in there. And it's by Tobin Home Crafts, which somebody actually told me is a Design Works company or line, because I was like, I think I got it on the Design Works site, but it didn't say it on here, but apparently it is part of them. So I got, like I mentioned last time, I was having a hard time working on it because I wanted to do it the same way my daughter's was, where you can't see the stitches behind it because it goes through the quilting. But this one, it uses 3 strands, and it was much harder to do that. So I just decided to go all the way through and not worry about it. And thank you for all your suggestions about like putting a backing behind it. So I could definitely do that if I don't want the back to show all messy. So that's definitely an idea. But also I've started adding backstitch, which is making it much more nice to look at, because before the coverage wasn't too great and I was like, I don't know if I like this. But now that the backstitching is in it, I really do like it. I'm working on the border, and I got the whole top border done. See, like the backstitch just makes it so cute. And now I'm working down here. It's hard to show, but almost down to the bottom of that side. So I did like, it goes pretty quick now. So what I did last night was finished up backstitching like these rabbits, the stars, and then all of the border down here. So that only took like one night. So this is actually not going to be that bad. I know the middle is going to take a lot of time, but I kind of want to get the border in first, unless it's too repetitive. I don't know. We'll see. But it's not bad. But the only thing is, so the colors are much different than it shows in the picture with this border here. Like that border, it looks very blue here, right? But then in this, it's actually like teal, like a bright teal. So it's very different. And I really do love the color, especially how it's like going with the orange. But I really don't think it goes well with this green. here. Like, it kind of clashes. I don't really like that. And I did mess up on when I first started. I did like all of these in green instead of looking at the pattern and realizing they should alternate colors. But now I'm good. So it is different. Hope the rest of it will be okay. Yeah, so it's just a little bit clashing, but if you look at it from a distance, like, it's fine. So yeah, look at all that stitching I have to do in the middle. Oof. But it is going a little faster than I thought. And it's very soft, but it's a little warm to work on. Although it's been cool here lately, the past like week. Like, I'm wearing a sweater in July, the middle of July, but the days that were nice were very nice. Okay. And the other one I'm focusing on for the baby is the birth sampler from Historical Sampler Company. And there's that shadow is just like in the picture. A is for Arc is what it's called. It's so pretty. And it came as a kit, so it's all the kit things. I think it's 32 count, yeah. And here's where I am. So I'm liking how that looks. Now there is an error in this as well that I can't really figure out where or how it started. So I'm going with it. But what happened was somehow these boxes are like not lined up as they should be with the alphabet, even though when I started, like this lines up here, and like all of these are the correct number of stitches for the boxes. So I have no idea how that happened, but it's going to be like when I get to this border over here, I might have to take this out because I think the boxes are going to be a little bit over, and I might have to like make this border just come over. So it's not going to line up perfectly. And I really don't know how that happened. I have no idea. It's a mystery. But again, I'll show my son that it's okay that things are not perfect, and it makes things unique and kind of quirky. So we'll see how that comes out. I just hope it's not too far off. But I will make it work. Oh, and another thing, in case you get this pattern, there was a mistake. There must have been a mistake in the pattern with the coloring of like this dolly part, because so she's got blonde hair, blue eyes, but then the skin was very dark, and I was like, oh cool, it's like a darker skin doll. But then I was like looking at the pattern, and it's definitely not, even though it's very hard to see in the pattern, like it's blurry. But plus the fact that she's blonde and blue-eyed, it looked very strange. So I just picked out another color that would work with it. So there's that change, and the same with her arms were like that too. So I don't know, it's just like an error in the charting, I guess. But I don't know, I'm hoping I'm gonna have enough thread for the border. Like, it seems like I'm not going to. We'll see. Something about like the kits I've been having lately just have not been coming with enough floss. All right. Next, another one that kind of came up randomly in between was Cafe Terrace from Cross Stitch Collectibles. Artwork, Vincent van Gogh. And I can use this for the fine art, hashtag Fine Art Friday sale that Bohemian Stitcher came up with, even though it wasn't on a Friday. But it's nice because I've worked on this a few times now and I hadn't worked on it in like over a year from like one little start. So it's nice to get some progress. And it's not that big. However, this is one where I'm missing some flosses. I might have some in my stash that I have to check next time, but yeah, there's a lot of holes that I don't like. But I can fix that eventually. And it's also on 2/1 tent stitch on 25 count. My go-to now, but not very big. Well, kind of. But it is smaller than the Moonlight Magic that I started. It's 220, yeah, it's only 220 by 291. So not that bad. Oh, excuse me. This is the smaller version. They have a larger one that you can get on their site as well. Yeah. Oh man, I get so tired now with this pregnancy. But anyway, we're almost done. So next one was Home in the Mountains, aka Rivendell. Gorgeous, and my biggest by far. It is 700 by 495. And it's from the Golden Kite, and they have several options. I chose the biggest, most complicated one, which was the standard size with blends. You can get it without blends as well, and some smaller ones, but it is work, but it is coming out so good. Also 2/1 tent on 25. There is a lot of confetti in this first part, upper corner. But so far, let's see, I am at 5,927 stitches and 1.71%. I didn't tell you on Cafe Terrace I was at 1,050 stitches and 1.64%. So yes, that is it. I do have, the only thing that's annoying about this is like whenever I look up in the middle of like a stitch, like it's really hard to find my place, or it's hard to find, well, it's probably because I made a mistake. Of course, down here, like in this section, now I've corrected it. So over here is fine. But in here, it's totally messed up. So I'm guessing more stitches are going. So luckily it's still turning out well. It's just such a pain to figure out what I'm doing. But once I get past that, it'll be okay. It's so pretty. Last one that I worked on, no, sorry, two more. I was so happy to take this one out again because I'd only worked on it one time. Fall Fairy Dimensions Gold Collection. Oh, my favorite of their fairies. I love, love, love the colors in this. So pretty. And it's on a 16 count Dove Gray Ada. Okay, come out. Very stiff, of course, but here she is. Look at those colors. Like the oranges against that color blue are like my favorite. So yeah, and the sky is half stitches. The tree is like a combination of half, and the leaves like combination of half and full. But yeah, I'm loving this one. And so originally I was stitching it by 10 by 10 blocks down, but then I was like, I'm just going to be in that tree forever because it's all the way down. So now I'm just doing more, getting more into like the diagonal way of doing it, like I do in my other full coverages. So that'll be more interesting. Yeah. Okay. Final one that I worked on. Because I need to get it back in my rotation. So it's also a semi-focus piece still, which is the Brookes Books Advent Animals stitching. And these, well, let me show you first, then I'll talk about I got some questions about where you can get this, and it changed a little bit, so I'll talk about that. But I'll show you the one that I'm working on now. I'm still not finished it. I have to do the white stitches and the back stitches. But here he is, the horse. Oh, what's his name again? Oh crap, now I'm forgetting his name, but they all have cute little names. And if you want to see the completed one, you can check out on Point Stitcher, who's also doing these. She's around the same place. She's more ahead of me, but she finished that one. And it's going to say here, ugliest sweater. So that's what he won. So cute. And I'll pull out the whole thing again because it looks so good all together. Love it. My plan was to finish it by the end of the year, but we'll see how that goes now. Things have changed. $17 out of 25. So cute. And it's on the called for fabric, which is, oh, here it is. Is that it? Yeah, it's all messed up. But it's Babbling Brook 28 count Joblin. This is the one that I also, at a giant piece, this is the one I also was doing. Is it? No, maybe it's not the one that I did my, no, this is not the one that I did my 13 moons on. That was a different one. But yeah, similar. Yeah. Super cute. But anyway, the questions, I got some questions about where you could find the patterns, and they were free patterns that you can download from Brookes Books Publishing. Brooke Nolan, I think. And so she had a website that you could go to and just download them for free. But now, when I was telling people where to get them, they weren't able to access it. And I went to the website too, and it's like not there anymore. I was like, oh no, what happened? Like, can you not get them anymore? And I did some digging, and I found on a message board like recently that, well, she does have an Etsy shop, which I had no idea, but these are not on them. But apparently she's been struggling from a battle with cancer for a while. But I guess that may not have been the reason her website was down. Like, someone said she got hacked and it's working on getting like up again. But somebody sent a link of an archive that you can actually go to, which I'll link below. And I found them there. You can still get them there. So no worries, but I would download them soon just in case anything happens. If you're interested in these, just download all of them. So yes, that is that. Okay, we are almost done. This really is like longer than my WIP parade. Yeah, so next are just some little patterns, new patterns that I got. One actually was from someone who reached out to me on Instagram who just opened up a shop, and I'll link her below. It's Stitch Weasel Designs on Etsy. And she does mostly different dog patterns, and she's a graphic designer, I think, but they look really cool. And also she has a few other small ones as well. And I'm not a dog person, but I said, like, my friend has a dog that she's absolutely in love with, a pit bull, and he's not been doing well. He's had some health issues lately, so I'm like, oh, well, she didn't have one yet, but I'm like, do you have like a pit bull, a brown one? I sent her a picture of my friend's dog, and she made one, and now that's on the site as well. It's called Brown Pity, and it looks just like her dog. Just like her dog, so she did a great job. So I can do that as a gift for her. So thank you. Yeah, so another one. I wasn't planning on getting this, but I happened to be scrolling Instagram, of course, and saw the Little Stitcher shop on Etsy made an announcement that one of her patterns was going to be going out of print, or she wasn't going to be able to make or sell it anymore. And this one I actually had on my wish list, so I had to get it. She said in 3 days it was going to be gone, and I think those 3 days have passed, unfortunately. But I did get it, and it's the reason I got it was to stitch for my husband. It's called, I'm going to butcher the name, but Poro, based on the character from the Agatha Christie novels. And the reason that I wanted to stitch it for him is because, well, I'd never heard of him because I never read the Agatha Christie books or anything. So he introduced me to it through the show. There's like a show where he solves the mysteries and everything. And I had never heard of him before, and he really likes those shows. And they're pretty interesting, just solving the mystery. And this is like what he says a lot. No, Madame Poirot is never wrong. So I gotta stitch that for him one day. And there's not many that I find to stitch for him, so gotta do it when I can. Okay. Oh, I forgot to put this back, but anyway, those were all the things that I wanted to show you, I believe. Except I'll do a quick life update, and then at the end I'll put clips of some videos that I took while my family was visiting, plus like some recently when the weather was nice, or pictures or whatever. So I'll put that at the end if you're interested. But oh, sorry, out of breath now. Because like I said, I'm getting bigger. I'm in my 26th week now, and yeah, he's a big boy. I had an ultrasound and he was like at the very high end of weight for his gestational age. So they wanted me to take a blood glucose test just to, you know, because that, if you have high blood sugar, it can lead to bigger babies. But that was perfect. It was like on the lower end, if anything. So it's not because of that. He's just a big boy. I'm hoping he slows down a little, because with my daughter, she was like a regular size, you know, in pounds, it was like 7 pounds, 9 ounces, just exactly what I was, or 3.3 kilograms. So she was normal size and everything, average, I guess, but that was big enough. So I'm like, okay, slow down, slow down. Yeah, so we'll see. But it is heavier, like heavier than it was with my daughter. I'm bigger now than I was with my daughter at this stage. So I don't know how this is going to go. I'm almost in my 3rd trimester, and I'm definitely not able to do as much as I was with her. Partly probably because I have a 3-year-old now to look after, but, and I'm older now. And I have some more pains than I did last time. And it's like, I can't really walk that long. I want to be able to do more exercise. And now that I have a little more time, I should be able to do that. So I'll start that, but I gotta go gradually. But the reason I have some more time now is because of the amazing Norwegian system. So for those of you maybe in Europe, Norway, this is nothing revolutionary for you, but it's unheard of in the US, where because I have a physical job that was very tough on my body, especially because it was a new job starting in March when I was already pregnant, and I had a sitting job before that. So I was totally not used to being on my feet all day and lifting people and bending and all that stuff. And also I didn't like the job at all. So it was tough emotionally, draining, physically and mentally. I was not in a good place. And like, I think I was a little depressed. Like I didn't even want to do stitching. Like I would cry a lot. It was bad. So I was at the doctor and just telling them all these things. And here you can go on leave, or your bosses have to make adjustments, which they did, but it was still not enough. So you can apply for either like pregnancy money, which we're doing now, but you don't work in that job that you were doing during that time. And if I don't end up getting that, because that's like if your job is like a danger to the baby, but if not that, then you can go on sick leave. However, I am able to work doing like sitting work or office work. So it's actually really nice because now I can do what I went to school for, which is nutrition, just 2 days a week. So I'm working like 40%, that's how they say it here. So now I'm just working 2 days a week for the rest of my pregnancy, at the maximum, and just doing like office type work sort of. So that is amazing. It frees up so much time. I have more energy, like way less pain, and my mood, mental health is way, way better. So that is just amazing. Like, that is totally unheard of. And like, how it works is, like, the state, it's like a welfare state. So they pay my employer for my position so they can hire someone else. Like, they're not losing any money. And this is why they have built up like the welfare system. And, you know, that's where a lot of your taxes go. So people here don't mind paying taxes because you actually see the benefit of it. Like me, I had to pay taxes even though I was working in the US. I had to pay like double taxes, but now I'm like seeing the benefit of it. So I'm like, all right, that's cool. So on top of that, once the baby's born, you get your parental leave, which is here you combine it, like you and the baby's father will like split it, but it's a year that you split. And so usually the mom takes more. So basically I'll get 7 months of leave all paid, and then my husband will get like 3 months or 4 months of leave after that. So that is amazing. I only had 3 months with my daughter, but then my husband actually got to take all of the year, so that was nice. And you do have to take the first 3 weeks before your due date off. So that's part of like the 7 months. But basically I won't be going back to work full time until next June. But now the thing is weird with my job. It was only for a year, and that year will be up by then. So I don't know if I'll have that same job back. Maybe I can like make this nutrition thing an ongoing thing, which would be very nice. Yeah, but at least now I have some time. I can think about that. Think about maybe starting my own thing with nutrition here or online. But it's, yeah, such a relief. So I'm so thankful for just being here in Norway and having those benefits. And it is so important because, you know, mental health, of course physical, but also your mental health plays a huge role in the baby as it's growing. Like, stress impacts how your baby develops for life, and their cognitive things, like so much during your pregnancy will affect the baby for life. So it's really a good thing that they're doing that. So yes, that is my main life update. Other than that, now I'm going to show you some clips of Norway. So enjoy, and I will see you hopefully in a couple weeks instead of 4 weeks. So it won't be so long, but thank you if you made it this far. Thank you so much, and see you later.
Ja, Lejonbjörn, samma